Customer development and market sizing. Okay, so the big picture that we're shooting for here in words is your overall goal is acquiring customers and bringing in revenue. There's a number of different activities that support that overall goal, and a lot of them fit together either hierarchically or in a hub and spoke kind of manner. Some of the major activities that we're going to be talking about are identifying the product or service, getting initial feedback from friends and associates, identifying market segments and doing initial market sizing. That's the stuff we're going to be talking about today. Identifying customers and determining position, competitors and determining positioning. We'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday and a little bit about it next week. Designing and implementing guerrilla marketing campaign, which will consist of at least 4 different media segments: word of mouth outreach, online outreach, offline outreach, and events, what I like to call events outreach. We'll talk about all that stuff on Thursday. And then tracking your customer acquisition pipeline, we'll also talk about on Thursday as well. So that was the big picture in words. The big picture graphically looks like this. So determine marketing message and materials. That's what you're doing right now with your website. So you're creating a website up here. This is the team, you guys. So the team is creating a website. That's the top of this. And then eventually you're going to show this website to sample customers here in your initial word-of-mouth outreach. And then based on the conversations you have with sample customers, you're going to develop customer vignettes, market sizing estimates, and competitive positioning maps. And that is all of that stuff we're going to talk about today. So you create a website, you show the website to a bunch of people, and then you develop some report documents about those people that you talk to. There's going to be a report on the profile of that customer, the customer vignette you're going to produce. There's going to be a report on the market sizing. So how many other people are there out there like this customer? How much potential revenue could you make from that market segment? And then you're going to do a competitive positioning map based on who the competitors are for that particular customer. So build website, show website to other people, develop 3 specific reports based on conversations you have with potential customers. Customer vignette, market sizing estimate, and competitive positioning map. So once we've developed all that, then we will design and implement what's called a guerrilla marketing campaign, and we'll talk about the elements of that guerrilla marketing campaign on Thursday. It basically involves, like I said, 4 different media platforms, and then all of that funnels into a tracking system of some kind for your target customers. So up to those reports that we're writing on sample customers is what we're talking about today. So as far as identifying the product or service is concerned, what specific product or service you're offering. That's what you're designing in your website right now. Some things to think about as you design your websites. What image do you want to portray for the product or service. What exactly do people need to know about it? Do they need to know different services you offer? Do they need to know the prices of those services? Do they need to know how to order? What things do they need to know about your product or service? What are the principal features and benefits of your product or service? So the website's going to describe the main features and benefits of your product. And like I've stressed in various classes, make sure you have a website and social media pages to demonstrate the product or service. So once we've got the website up and running, we may also create Facebook pages, maybe a LinkedIn page, maybe Twitter account. Depends on what direction we're going to go with in the advertising. So that will come out of the website that you're building right now. In terms of getting initial feedback from friends and associates, there's 3 different ways that I want you to reach out to people once you've got the website up and running. First of all is via social media. So I want you to basically take the survey, take the customer vignette questions, put them into an online survey format, and send a link to those questions, to that survey, to various friends and associates that you know on social media. So they can just click on the link, look at the website, and give you feedback on the survey questions. Phone outreach or text outreach. If it's text, you're going to send the survey link same way that you would with social media. If it's talking on the phone, then you're basically going to have the customer vignette template in front of you, and you're going to fill that out while talking to somebody on the phone. And then the third way is by talking to people face to face, and similar, pretty much the same thing as if you were on the phone. Talking face to face, you're going to have the customer vignette template in front of you, and you're going to fill it out as you're talking to the person. So, customer vignettes. The first document that I want you to create based on conversations you have with target customers is a customer vignette. So the initial things to think about when designing a customer vignette are, first of all, what kind of customer is it? You need to know before you start surveying people, are you talking to customers, individual consumers, or are you talking to businesses? Everything else is going to be different depending on whether it's individual people, consumers, or whether it's businesses. You want to have an idea of whether the person you're talking to is just a regular consumer or an influencer. An influencer is someone who can tell a lot of other people about your business. So influencers are particularly important to have as you start your guerrilla marketing campaign. And then think about what are the different segments. As you start to talk to different customers, pay attention to common themes that are coming up, age-wise, income level-wise, in terms of the price point that they're willing to pay, things like that. And then finally, there's seven specific questions. 7 specific questions that I want you to ask each sample customer that you reach out to. First of all, what's their purchase frequency? So how often do they use your product or service? Price point, what are they willing to pay for your product or service? So that's per purchase, or how much are they willing to spend per year? Some kind of number on how much money they're willing to pay. Very important, advertising media. What kind of advertising media do they consume? Do they pay attention to TV ads? Do they listen to the radio? Do they pay attention to billboards that they may see while they're driving down the street? Do they pay attention to posts on Facebook? Do they listen to advice from their friends and family, word of mouth? Do they do Google searches to find your product or service? What advertising media do they use to find a product or service like yours? What competitors do they use? So if it's the drive-through liquor store, how are they getting liquor right now? There's probably a certain liquor store that they go to, or they go to Vons. Who are they using now? That's important to know for each person you talk to. Demographics, very important. For consumers or individual people, you want to know how old they are, how much money they make, what their job is, whether they're male or female, whether they're married or have kids, where they live, and where they work. Those are the main things we need to know in order to be able to size the market for individual people. For businesses, we want to know what industry they're in and how big they are. How big they are and where they're located. So 3 things that we want to know demographically about businesses. In addition to those specific questions, it's really important to have a general impressions, kind of free-form text, just to ask people in general, what do they think? So that they may have specific feedback about changes to make to the website. They may actually tell you that, the business is great, but what I really need is something else. The ability to give you general answers or general impressions about the product or service is really important. So you're going to have 5 specific areas, kind of 5 specific boxes to fill in, and then a 6th box which is just open and can have any input that people say in it. And then finally, your sample customers that you're talking to may turn into actual customers in the future, so it's important to ask them, once we have started this business, are you interested in being a customer? And if so, then you want to make sure to include them on a mailing list of people that are interested in your product or service for the future. So those are the specific questions that you want to ask in order to develop a customer vignette. This is an example of a customer vignette from a project some of my students did a couple of years ago for the Bakersfield Condors. So this is an example of what I want it to look like when you're done. So the document that you are creating after you create the website, then you show the website to other people, and for each person you show the website to, I want you to write up something that looks like this. So as an example, for me and the Bakersfield Condors, I'm a consumer. I'm a potential influencer because I stand up in front of classes a lot. I do a lot of networking around town, so I have the potential to tell a lot of other people about the Condors as well. And demographically, I'm what would be called the single adult male professional segment. Purchase frequency, I'm a season ticket holder, and more importantly, I go out for entertainment a couple times a month. So if I go out for entertainment, it could be that I go to the Condors game, it could be that I go to listen to live music, it could be that I go to a bar or a restaurant. Price point that I'm willing to pay, $300 is what I pay for my 6-game package, and I usually spend about $100 to $200 a night when I go out with a date for some kind of activity that I do for the weekend, whether it's the Condors game or a restaurant or a bar, or going to a restaurant and the movies, or going to a live music event, whatever. Advertising media that I'm willing to use. I pay a lot of attention to word of mouth, so any kind of recommendations that other people give me for activities to do on the weekend, I pay very close attention to. if I don't have any word of mouth, any suggestions from other people, I will do a Google search and just find new things to do in Bakersfield sometimes. If I find any Yelp reviews of restaurants or Yelp reviews of bars, of live music places, I will pay particular attention to Yelp reviews. If I get an email in my inbox from Groupon or from some list server that I signed up for, I'll pay attention to emails in my inbox. If I see a poster around campus here or around downtown somewhere, I'll pay attention to that. And if I get a brochure in the mail, in my regular mailbox, I'll pay attention to that. In some ways, I'll pay closer attention to a brochure in my mailbox than I will pay attention to an email in my inbox, because I get so many more emails than I do brochures in the mail these days. If I were to actually get a brochure in the mail from a restaurant, I would seriously consider using them, because I don't get very many brochures in the mail from restaurants. So I would consider both of those. Competitor-wise, local bars and restaurants and live music is what I usually use instead of, if I weren't at the Condors game, that's what I would be doing on a Friday or Saturday night. Demographic-wise, I'm 45 years old now. This was compiled last year originally. Single with no kids, just a little bit over $100,000 salary. I'm a professor. I live in Westchester, and I work here at CSUB. Those are the relevant pieces of information that you need to know about the individual person. And then general impression-wise, I think the Condors are great fun. It's kind of a small town experience, but it still has a connection to the outside world because they're connected to the Edmonton Oilers. And then finally, I'm already a season ticket holder, but yes, if the Condors had future offers for individual tickets for games, I would want to be included on the list. So this is what I want your profile to look like when you're done. And you're going to do that. You're going to create one of these for each customer, sample customer that you talk to. Yes.
How many customers?
It depends on how many people are in your group. Huh?
None.
So I want each of you to talk to 3 customers. You have your hand up?
No, I see at least 3 there.
Yeah, I may change that depending on how each project is going. But off the top of my head, each of you, I'd like to have you talk to at least 3 sample customers. Okay? And in general, for each individual in each group, I want you to talk to 3 sample customers. So, like the German fast food truck group, you got 3 people. That would be 9 total customers that you talk to. Solar panels, you only have to do 3.
I can do more than that.
Yeah, but the minimum that I need is 3. And then 9 times 3, you guys are gonna have at least 27 customer profiles. Okay? So once you've developed the customer vignette, the next thing you're going to do is do a market sizing estimate. So the market sizing estimate, the 3 things that you need to know in order to be able to do a market sizing estimate, first of all, are geographic scope. Second of all is your target customer demographic profile, so that's basically the customer vignette. And then you're going to need to document some assumptions. So pick a geography, use the customer vignette you've just created, and document some assumptions. And then you can create the rest of the market sizing. There's 3 different kinds of assumptions that you're going to make when doing a market sizing. There's assumptions that are based on hard data, assumptions that are based on anecdotal evidence, and assumptions that are based on educated guesses. So assumptions based on hard data are assumptions that you get because you went out and looked at a number on the internet or in a book somewhere. It's a concrete number that you get from some kind of public reporting source. Assumptions based on anecdotal evidence are usually the assumptions that come with the assumptions about price and purchasing behavior, anything else that the customers have told you in your customer vignette. So it's not an official report, but it is an objective piece of information from a third party. So the other pieces of information about customer price point, about purchase frequency, about general impressions, those are anecdotal assumptions. And then finally, assumptions based on educated guesses. Sometimes you're just going to have to make a ballpark estimate of something. A lot of times for the market sizing estimate, that involves what your market share is going to be. And I usually suggest calculating market share based on how many competitors you can think of off the top of your head. So if you can think of 5 competitors off the top of your head, then market share estimate should be no more than 20%. If you can think of 4, then it's 25%. If you can think of 10, then it's 10%. These are just assumptions that you make because you know you're not going to get every single person who's in the target segment. You know you're going to get some percentage of that, but you don't know what percentage you're going to get. And there's no real report that you can go to and reference how many customers am I going to get. You have to just make an estimate based off the top of your head. And those off the top of your head estimates should be based on some kind of information in reality, but it doesn't have to be very exact. You just need to document what it is that you're assuming. So for finding hard data, there's a couple things to bear in mind. First of all, macro level economic data is rarely exactly what you want. You have to take what you can get. So as an example for the condors thing, I'm a professor. The U.S. Census Bureau, which is where we get most of the information that we do use for market sizing for consumers, the U.S. Census Bureau doesn't have a category of employment for professors. They have one for education professionals. But that means everybody from preschool through university. It's support staff and teachers. It's everything all lumped into one. So you're not going to be able to find information just on professors, but you can find it on education professionals. And then, so we talk about common demographic categories that are close to what you're looking for. Education professionals, for example, instead of professors. And then you got to remember to make adjustments to the macro level data according to your assumptions. So if the macro level data is education professionals, then we need to make at least 2 assumptions. One is what percentage of all education professionals are in higher education as opposed to secondary education or primary education. So how many education professionals are actually in universities rather than high schools or grade schools? And then how many are teachers versus support staff? So we need to make those 2 assumptions and add those in to our calculations because we can't find the exact type of data that we need. There's a couple main resources that we use for market sizing in this class. One for business to consumer market sizing is called American Fact Finder or American Community Survey. Those are databases that are run by the Census Bureau. And then the Census Bureau also has another database called the County Business Patterns database. And that gives you information on businesses as opposed to consumers. So how many clothing stores there are in the Bakersfield area, how many oil field services companies are there, etc. And those are the two main sources we'll use. There's links to each of them here. Here's an example of what I want the market sizing document to look like. When you're finished, it'll be filled out like this. The product or service depends on what it is in your website that you've put together as the sample product or service. It could be a particular type of liquor that people are going to pick up. Could be a standard bundle of vodka, beers, and cigarettes, or whatever else people usually buy as in a group. For the German fast food truck, it could be a particular dish or a combination of drink, dish, and side dish. For the youth sports, it could be a particular sport. But anyway, you're going to designate what the product or service is here at the top. Then you're going to designate what geographic area you're focusing on. That'll be either Bakersfield, Kern County, the state of California, or the entire nation. The customer profile here, you're going to copy the information on demographics that came out of your customer profile. So the customer vignette information on age, income level of the target population comes in here under customer profile. And then you're going to document where you get each of your assumption pieces of information. So hard data assumptions, the Kern County male population is about 440,000. There's 12.6 that are age 40 to 50 and 9.3% that earn over 100,000. Let me show you quickly. If I get out of here and go to, actually if I go back to American Fact Finder, this is what the Census Bureau website looks like for consumer information. So if we go back and look at this Condor's market sizing example, Kern County, California. So if I come out of that, come over here, I just type in this window here, Kern County, California, go. And this gives me all kinds of information about Kern County. So I wanted, if we go back here, I wanted information on male versus female, age, and income level. So if I go back to Kern County here, age, the information on gender is usually contained in the age section. So age and sex, there's a report here on age and sex in Kern County. You'll see here, total population, male population, female population. So the total population of males, 444,547, is a little bit higher than it was when I did this. The last time I checked, it was only 440,000. There's 4,000 more men in Bakersfield, in Kern County, than there were the last time I did this. So that's the male population. Then we need a percentage for how many are ages 40 to 50. So if we go back here, 40 to 44 years old is 6.2%, and 45 to 49 years old is 6.2%. So if we add those two together, it's 12.4%. When I did it a couple years ago, it was 12.6%. It was a little bit higher. But that's the percentage that are age 40 to 50. And you're going to document with footnotes where this information came from. And then finally, we need information for individuals earning over $100,000. So if we go back to the community facts page, in this case we want information on income level. So go down to the tab on income level. Selected economic characteristics, income, and sometimes you have to play around a little bit with each of these links. Here is a different report that's generated by the Census Bureau. And only the Census Bureau knows why they titled their reports the way they do. Sometimes you have to click on different links until you find the one that you need. Based on trial and error that I've done in the past, I know that income in the past 12 months is what we're looking for. So we want non-family households. I'm just talking about single individual myself. So 100,000 to 149,000 is 6.5%. 150 to 199 is 1.9%, and 200,000 and above is 1.2%. So if I add those three together, 6.5 plus 1.9 is 8.4, plus 1.2 is 9.6, I believe. So 9.3, again, from the last time I did it until now, the numbers have changed slightly. But that's where you get that information on total number of people in the market. Your anecdotal assumption about spending is based on what I said in the customer vignette about how much I'm willing to pay. So if you go back and look at that customer vignette on me, usually spends $100 to $200 on a night out. So right in the middle of that is $150. If we go back here, total spending $150. So that spending number that you put in here is going to come from your customer vignette. Then finally, educated guess assumptions. I'm going to assume a 10% market share here because I can think of 10 different places that I might go for entertainment on a Friday or Saturday night. If there's 10 different places that I can think of, then 100% divided by 10 is 10%. 10% market share. If there's 5 places that I can think of, it would be 20% market share, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to make some kind of assumption about what market share you can get, and then you're going to multiply all these numbers together. 440,000 times 12.6% times 9.3% times $150 times 10% market share. In the case of this Condors example, it's $77,000 and change in potential revenues for each Condors game from people like me. And that's what I want your market sizing document to look like when you're done. Okay? So you create the website. After you've created the website, you go out and talk to sample customers. Based on the sample customer, you create a customer vignette document. And based on that customer vignette document, you're going to create a market sizing document. So that's an example for individuals. Yes?
So that you have to do that for person?
So it depends. When you guys are going to talk to 27 different customers, and you're probably going to find that 10 of them are women between the ages of 20 and 30. Okay? So then you're going to do one market sizing for women between the ages of 20 and 30. And then you notice there's another group of men ages 40 to 50. Or there's another group of sort of moms that are aged 30 to 40. So depending on the common threads in you're not going to do 27 market sizings. You're probably going to do 5 or 10. But it depends on the different segments of customers that you talk to in your customer vignettes. Does that make sense? Okay. So an example here, I just gave you guys an example of consumer market sizing. For those of you who are targeting businesses, as your customers instead of consumers, this is what a business-to-business market sizing would look like. So instead of looking at individual game tickets or sales to Condors games, we could look at in-program advertising for advertisers as the product or service. Again, country, region, locality is Kern County, and we're looking for clothing accessory stores. Let's say that when I talk to sample customers, I talked to some owners of clothing accessory stores, and they said that they'd be interested in advertising with the Condors. So once again, we go back to the sample data sources and open up the County Business Patterns database. Nope, that's not going to connect right now. So if I go back to County Business Patterns, the second report here under Fact Finder, that's going to give me the number of establishments in 2-digit NAICS code categories. There's a different report besides this that gives us 6-digit categories. For the 2-digit categories, the report is here. The 6-digit category, category report that I used found 7 clothing stores in Kern County, clothing accessory stores. The conversation that we had with the sample customer was it came out in that they'd be willing to spend $500 approximately on advertising in the Condors brochure, and because there's only a couple of these stores in Bakersfield, we assumed a pretty high market share of 50%. So if you multiply 7 times $500 times 50%, it's about $1,750 in potential advertising revenue per game. And again, you're going to document where the hard data assumption came from for that market sizing. So that is two of the three documents that I want you to put together for your customer vignette. So you have the conversation with your customers, put together a customer vignette, you put together a certain number of market sizing documents, and then, which is not in my slides for today, but is important in general, I want you to create a market positioning map. Oops. There we go. So for the market positioning map, it's going to have an x-axis and a y-axis. And these are going to be features that either in the general impressions section of your customer vignette, or in the features and benefits and details that you put on your website. It's going to be different factors that are are different between you and your competitors. So, for example, if we use the Condors example again, one axis may be price point, and the other axis would be hominess of experience. So I said in my general impressions of the Condors experience that I felt that was kind of a small town feel to it. So if we've got price here and hominess of experience here, and then various competitors. So I mentioned other live music venues and bars and restaurants. So we've got price, the Condors is going to be about here on, and it's pretty homey. So we'll put the Condors there, and then take a look at the other competitors that I use. So in my customer vignette, I said other bars and restaurants and live music venues. So bars and restaurants wise, let's say the Mark and the Firehouse. So both the Mark and the Firehouse, I would say, are less homey than the Condors experience. And the Condors experience has like little like promotions that they have on center ice. They drop coupons from the sky. It's the Firehouse or the Mark. You can find a bar similar to that in any city in America. So hominess is less. The Mark is pretty pricey on food, so I'm going to put the Mark here, and I'm going to put the Firehouse about here on the price versus hominess scale. And then I also said live music venues. There's a place up in Tehachapi in Bear Valley Springs that I like to go listen to live music. That place is pretty homey. It's a small, very small, like private club, basically. And the price is relatively inexpensive. There's no cover charge, and you just have to pay for drinks and food. So the price is a little bit below the Condors, and a little bit, but it's the same amount of hominess as the Condors for Bear Valley Springs. I'd actually even put it further out here. So we're going to have one map that looks like that. Maybe we have another map that has purchase frequency on one axis and number of activities on the other axis. So purchase frequency is number of times per month, and number of activities is exactly what it sounds like, the number of activities that the certain product or service offers. So we use those same competitors, but put them on this map instead. The Condors, there's not too many activities at the Condors game. It's pretty much just watching the Condors. I mean, there's little things that you can do out in the hallway and stuff, but in general, it's a relatively low number of activities, and I don't purchase Condors tickets that often. I might go once a month or less. So we'll put the Condors here. The Mark, not a lot of activities to do at the Mark. There's just pretty much eating dinner. Later on, they have some live music as well, but purchase frequency for that as well. Because it's pricier for the food, and I don't really care that much about eating fine food, it's also going to be down here close to the Condors for purchase frequency and number of activities. The Firehouse has a lot of activities, and I tend to go there pretty often because it's got a lot of different things to do. So Firehouse is going to be up here. And then Bear Valley Springs is also down here in the purchase frequency and a number of activities areas. So I want you to put together multiple maps like this to compare the competitors to each other. Okay? So resumindo. Summarizing again. You put together a website, show that website to a bunch of at least 3 sample customers per team member. Based on those sample customer conversations, each one, you're going to generate a customer vignette. Based on the different segments of your market that are indicated in the customer vignettes, you're going to create market sizing documents. And then based on the features of your product and the different competitors that are mentioned in the customer vignettes, you're going to create market positioning maps that look like this. Okay? Once all that is done, then we can start talking about doing a guerrilla marketing campaign to market the business. We can start talking about operations and other things like that. But this is the lion's share of what you guys are going to be doing in this class goes up to and including this, but not so much past this. It's 4:55. We've got a little bit of time left. That's all I wanted to cover today. Do you guys how are you doing on your websites? Don't everybody speak at once. What's that?
Our website is already by email.
When did you send it?
I believe Saturday or Sunday, sometime.
You guys are the rickshaw. Yeah, I got that one. I got it. So right now, I've only received emails from 2 groups: the rickshaw group and the beauty bar group. I've got websites from them. I do not have website emails from everybody else. So, huh?
Caleb was supposed to send it like last week.
By this Friday, I need website emails from all the rest of the groups.
Do you need us to make it and then we send it on Friday? For the video?
Make whatever improvements you can. You don't have to resend it. Just make whatever improvements you can, because I'm going to look over them this weekend and give you tips on, okay, change this, change that. So whatever changes you make them by Friday. Okay? Make sense? Other questions about website development? Questions about how and where to find sample customers? Okay. Well, if you don't have any questions, then I'll see you guys on Thursday. Yes.
I see some company get bonus. What's mean for bonus?
What's that?
The bonus?
Oh, for Globus?
Yeah, Globus. What's mean the bonus?
It means that your predicted results were within 10% of your actual results.
That means it's good or bad?
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, he get bonus for he do with that.
You get bonus points if you're predicted and your actual are close to each other.
I get it last time before my friend he changed it. I was writing down confuse it. I got my image 73. I got the net private. I got a 40. I got everything is good, but after that he go change the price.
And it went down?
Like then I told him do whatever you want Saturday and Sunday. I will check on Sunday before I decide it.
I understand.
I don't know, but I will see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm going Bakersfield again. When you come there, Palm Springs, stop by. I'm leaving there. You come Palm Springs?
To Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You visit there? I'm leaving there.
Okay.
I'm heading back.
Okay.
Well, I see you next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Next week, I'm gonna come to review. And we're gonna have the test on Thursday.
The review is going to be on Thursday. Then I'm going to do another lecture on Tuesday, and the test next Thursday. So the review session is Thursday.
Thursday?
This Thursday, yeah.
This Thursday the review. Like I mean, this Thursday the review. On Tuesday the test.
Yeah, no, Thursday the test.
Next Thursday. All right, then I will stay here.
Yes, you might want to.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. Thank you.
Who's next?
Oh yeah, my group member, I think my teammate, she's not showing up, so I haven't talked to her. I have emailed her, but she doesn't show up because so I don't know if I should join another group or just follow at it myself.
Tell me again which group it is.
I think the bakery something.
Oh yeah.
I think it's only me and her. She's not.
Yeah. Isabella Ochoa.
Yeah, she's not here, right?
I haven't seen her the last couple of times. So, did she respond to your email?
Yeah, she did, but other than that, I need to see her face to face, to talk and exchange ideas and see where everything is going.
I'd get a phone number, get her phone number, and see if you can have a meeting on the phone about the website.
Yeah, she said she had some personal issues, I guess, so if that's what happened, I'll go at it myself or.
If you're not able to talk to her, go ahead and make the website by yourself. But see if you can talk to her on the phone. Okay?
I was looking, exploring what's called this, this program. Instagram. And I find this one is similar for our idea. Can we use this video on our website?
For this class, yes. Eventually,
No.
Eventually, no.
Well, I mean for this class.
For this class, yes.
We can use it. Oh, okay. So there's no legal issue? Or
Well, there probably is, but don't worry about it for this class.
okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.